Okay. So I'm sorry for the business people that don't know anything about tech and code because it's only code. Okay. Thank you everyone for being here. So I'm the first talk of the night. And yes, sorry, it's only tech thing, only code. So sorry for the people that don't know anything about that. Um, so let's talk real here. Who is a developer and who is using JavaScript or code for the JavaScript ecosystem? Okay, not so many people. Yay. And who are the one that writes JavaScript without TypeScript? Okay. Everybody is convinced. Nice. So the talk comes from people in France, in big companies, insurance companies that did a lot of money. And I had argument with them because they ask me, but why use TypeScript? It's too hard, it's too complicated. So it was true. It was true before. In the early days, it was a bit hard to use, and the thing is that TypeScript did ship not only with types, but with features that you don't have to use, you don't need them. And Angular was the issue there. So it's one of the arguments. They also tell me that they don't need TypeScript. Okay, I thought that. Like 4 years ago, I was anti-TypeScript. I didn't use TypeScript. I hated TypeScript. But today, even my little scripts are written in TypeScript. So the thing is, every day we use APIs, we use web services, we use data that we don't know that come from web services, and those data might change, and TypeScript helps a lot with that. I also heard that it's too slow to work with. Okay, I get it. At the beginning, I agree. It's hard to learn. There is a learning curve that is hard when you only know JavaScript. But today, I can't live without TypeScript. There is all the developer experience with it, with autocomplete, type check. It's great for teamwork and great for documentation because types are documentation. So, and the last, one of the last argument is that TypeScript is a bit slow. Okay, I agree with that. Some people did try to rewrite the compiler in some robust language like Rust and Go, but at the moment they can't follow all the iteration of the TypeScript team. They have a lot of unit tests in the TypeScript team, and they go really, really fast to ship features, and people doing that in open source can't follow. And okay, that's one of the biggest arguments. They were tired of the squiggly red lines that popped everywhere in their code. And that's why I did that talk to migrate slowly to TypeScript. So who am I? I'm Yoann Fleury. I'm a lead front-end developer and streamer at Bear Studio, a company from France. And this is me doing this very talk this weekend in Hanoi. So I'm a bit late for this talk. So I'm a React and TypeScript expert. I live in France, and you can find me on all the socials with that username if you have any questions after. So at first, if you don't know TypeScript, you can write JavaScript and enjoy TypeScript. That's the thing. With the right tools, you can enjoy types in JavaScript. So here, do we have an issue with that code? No. I don't think so. Okay. With that code, do we have an issue? No? Okay. And with that code, do we have an issue? We don't know. We don't know because we do not use TypeScript. But there is an issue in that code. This code won't work because the function is not written like that in JavaScript. And if I don't use TypeScript, I won't know that unless I go check the documentation. So there is this little trick in TypeScript. In VS Code, you can just put this little comment in your JavaScript code called @tschecked, and it will enable the TypeScript in your code. So this is pure JavaScript, but I enjoy the completion and the type checking of my code without TypeScript. And here are the little squiggly red lines, and I can fix my code because the function name is written with an upper C. Okay, let's go further with that. You have a strong feature in JavaScript called JavaScript documentation, or JS doc. So you can do things like that to document your code. It's great. It's really great. You can write what the function is doing, the parameters, and the returns. Here, it's just a simple add function, which takes a string and a num. Don't ask me why the API is made like that. And it returns a number to add the two. But there is a thing here. If you know JavaScript well, you know that it won't work because the string and the number will concatenate. So you won't have 5, you will have 23. Here, I just added the @tscheck directive on the top of the file. And here, it's just type checking. I ask for a number in return, but my function returns a string. And just with the annotation, I know that my code won't work. So here, type string is not assignable to type number. That's the error. And here, I just add this little plus here to convert my string to a number. So then this will be a number and this will be a number. Okay, I fixed my type, but it's not the only thing. Let's do the thing properly. It can be a string with no number in it. So we will just check that it is a number. If it's not a number, nan is nan, not a number. I can return my number. And if it's a number, I can add the 2. And you can go even further without writing TypeScript. This is a type definition. I have an object person. I have all the properties. Here, the variable is typed with person. It's pure JavaScript. Again, no TypeScript here, but it will type check here. I did some typo. The N is lowercase here, but it is defined with an uppercase here. So you can write JavaScript and enjoy types. So we have to agree that as @tscheck on all the files is a kind of, I don't want to do this for all the files. So you can add a JS config.json in your project and enable the check.js to true and allow JS to type check your JavaScript code without TypeScript. Then you can go even further. You can write some definition type. This is my code from before. Here I have no types, I have anything. And you can create some declaration type in another file. This is some TypeScript code. But I don't have the compiler installed on my machine. I don't need it. And I just add the @tscheck here, and the type will be known because the names are the same, index.js and index.declaration file. And this will work. I don't need to install TypeScript to do that. Here is a little code I wrote for React. It's a library I did. It's just a simple state management with a Boolean to open and close things. I didn't know TypeScript at the moment, so I have written this code in pure JavaScript at the moment. And later, I loved TypeScript, so I decided to add the types to it, and that's how I did it. I did some declaration type file to enjoy the contract of my code. Okay, so we did a lot of type checking in pure JavaScript, but let's go further. I won't tell you how to install TypeScript on your project. I'm not here to do that, but there is this thing called tsconfig that will pop in your project when you do install TypeScript. And there are some flags in it that are really useful to migrate from a JavaScript project to a TypeScript one. It's really hard to say, and I have kind of some beer, so sorry for my pronunciation. So here are 3 flags that I can recommend to you. So there are this allow.js tree. You don't have to rewrite all your code base to TypeScript when you do TypeScript. You can go step by step. So you can start your project in pure JavaScript, install TypeScript, and just enjoy some type checking without converting all your files to TypeScript. There is this one. It's not really related to type checking, but it will help the performances. It will tell TypeScript to avoid checking the not modules type. You don't need that. And you will have a great performances improvement with that flag. And the last one. Sorry, I drink a bit. So the last one is strict. So this is the one people forget about at the beginning, because if strict is true, you will have to type everything. And of course, it's hard. Of course, there is a learning curve. So at the beginning, just disable the strictness of TypeScript. And about that strictness, you can disable the strictness globally and then enable some flags. You maybe want to just check that the new checks are done, but not the type checking, maybe. So there is some little flags to enable the strictness of your code incrementally, step by step. And so there is also this no implicit any that you can set to true to avoid using you will have to type your code if there is some any in your project. So for that, a little trick, we have a starter called start UI, and we have some any in our code, but we did activated this flag. And the thing we did is create an alias. We created an alias called to-do equal any. And so we put this alias when we don't know the type at the moment. And we created another alias called explicit any. So we can type with this one when we know what we are doing. Okay, so when you have finished, when you are done migrating your code, you probably need things for your libraries. All the libraries don't come with a TypeScript definition, and there are some tricks about that. So if you are lucky, you have a library, for example, this one on npm.js, that uses TypeScript already, and you don't need to do anything. It uses TypeScript. You don't have to do anything. Types are provided. If you are less lucky, you won't have the types in the package. So you will need to install the types separately. This comes from a community called Definitely Typed, and it will be indicated by this little logo here with DT, Definitely Typed. It's a community that started alone at first, but now it's a community and a process done by Microsoft, so you can trust them a bit about the types provided for the library you use. And if you are really unlucky, you will not have the types at all. Here, I'm cheating a bit because I don't know any packages that don't use TypeScript or Definitely Typed. So I used one of ours, which is a binary, so you won't install it in a project. But I needed an example to show that some packages don't provide types. Okay. So the thing with TypeScript is that it comes with fancy features that we don't need at all. Sorry. So avoid those features at all costs, because all the runners and everything will not use those features. Let me explain why. So in Node 22, you can code in TypeScript without even compiling your code. Using a flag, you can run TypeScript directly in Node. It's really new, it's experimental, but it's the target of Node. Their target is to just run your TypeScript file without even compiling it. That's what some runners are doing. Bun did some compiling, but you can run your TypeScript directly. And Dino also, another JavaScript runner, also used TypeScript directly. And it's seamless for you. So their flag here is just to strip the types. So if you use fancy features from TypeScript, like the one I will show you, it won't work at first because they are just only parsing your code and removing the types. That's all they are doing. So don't use enums. Enums, you have them in Java, PHP, and other languages, but they are really powerful for those languages. TypeScript is just a superset of JavaScript. So the features they add will not be converted in pure JavaScript. They will do some magic work behind, and it will not work like in other languages. So don't do enums. Please do constants and use constants because it's pure JavaScript, and you don't need enums. You don't need them. Also, namespaces, I don't know why they added that, but you really don't need this feature. It doesn't exist in JavaScript. So don't use namespaces if you want to migrate slowly to TypeScript. So yeah, don't use the fancy features from TypeScript, like enums, namespace, and decorators, which were shipped in TypeScript for Angular. It's just higher order function, so do higher order function. You don't need this syntactic sugar in your code. And yeah, that's it. Use the type system. Just use the types. And about types, prefer types over interfaces. Just a little reminder how it works in TypeScript. So in types, you can create aliases. So here I have a type ID equals string, and I can reuse my ID in all my project. You can't do that with interface. So you will have to just declare string everywhere. I don't know, the API will probably go from string ID to number, so I can just change my alias. And in interfaces, you can't do aliases. And also, the thing is, Types, I don't have the example here, but are more concise, I think, than interfaces where you have to extend and everything. So it's more object-oriented code. And the thing with interfaces is if you declare an interface with, I don't know if I have the example after. No. If you have an interface called point in one file with an X attribute and an interface called point in another file with a Y attribute, it will merge. So when you declare a constant with that interface point, it will have the two attributes. So be aware about that. The interfaces with the same name merge. So if you work with TypeScript, you are aware about that, but the utils are really strong. Here I have a developer type with some languages. And if I want to create a user, it's just a developer without the languages part, so I omit the key languages. TypeScript is really powerful. You can create types all the way you want. It's kind of easy. Play with that. Go to the TypeScript playground, and it's kind of easy. And at least when you will be strong enough with TypeScript, you can then use some libraries that are really cool. So I don't know if you know them, because most of you already code in TypeScript, but there is this library called Zod, which is a runtime validator. So it will check your code at runtime. So if, for example, I do a schema with a string minimum 2 and maximum 4, if my string is 5, it will tell me that the data is wrong. And it's also a static type generator, so I can infer the types from my schema. And it's really, really strong. I can't live without Zod in my TypeScript code. There is also Remeda. Remeda is like Lodash, but really, really improved for TypeScript, so I can't recommend it enough. And we miss some pattern matching in JavaScript, so there is this little library called TS patterns, and it's an improved switch case. For example, you have a union of many things, and if you forget one, this library will tell you switch case. Don't tell you about that, so it's really powerful. I have a little blog post in French. Sorry. I may translate it one day, but which explains and gives a lot of examples of those libraries. I really can't live without those today. And I don't know how many minutes this talk did, but in conclusion, use only the type system. Really, I can't tell this enough. Don't use the other features. You don't need them. Yeah, just make sure to improve your code with some comments at first, and then go to the full TypeScript. With JavaScript, you probably think that you will go faster, but at one moment you will see that your code don't work at all. So use TypeScript with some interfaces to help you code. And please use types, and use types. Any questions? Yeah, it's just for recording. Don't worry, I hear you.
Okay. Okay. So you said about the should avoid the enum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really want to know about some disadvantages of the enum when you use intermediate process.
Okay, so you want to know why I don't recommend enums at all? Okay, so the thing is, we did try enums at the moment, but we did have a lot of complexity with it because enums are translated into JavaScript in some weird structure because it doesn't JavaScript doesn't know about enums, so TypeScript has to adapt this code to JavaScript code, and it's a function with a map and it's really weird. and it breaks sometimes when you want to iterate over it, because in enums you have the index 0, 1, 2, 3 automatically provided in up, left, right, down, for example. And if one day one developer want to change those, if you use enums to map to the index, it will not work. Prefer all the times const with a mapping with a key and a value, and that's it. It's just experiences. We had some really hard bugs with enums, and I don't know how to. I don't have the example on my slides, but we did have some issues with it, and we. You can't iterate over the keys. You can't iterate over values on an enum. So yeah, that's why I don't like it, and it doesn't work with our clients, for example. And it's even true on the front end part, because I use JavaScript every day on the front end. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit biased. But yeah.
One more question
Yep.
about JavaScript. TypeScript will have many benefits, but sometimes when I develop a project by TypeScript, and the library have a more complicated time with generic, and do you have any solution to debug and improve this?
Yeah, so I didn't talk about that in my conference, and I should have, because today I don't write any types at all because I use Zod. And Zod do the type inference for me, so I just have to write schemas, and types are inferred. So I don't maintain types, I maintain schemas that help me with the runtime validation, and also help me with the static types on my IDE. The only types I write today are the types for the props of my React components. That's the only one I have to maintain. All the other types that comes from the API, that comes from user forms, etc., I just use Zod to do the schemas, and the types are just generated for me. I don't maintain any types. Yeah, I just validate the data with Zod, and it knows I use Zod with React query, for example, and in my query, I do the validations, and the types are inferred, and I don't have to do anything. I should have put examples to show that. But yeah, the only types I maintain are the one for the props in my components. That's all. Thank you. You have a question?
Yes, I really have a question. Just that TS check, is it
Yeah.
just code editor related, or is it a feature from JavaScript?
So I just only tried it with VS Code, but I think it will work with the JetBrains softwares, because I think it's a TypeScript feature more than a VS Code feature. So if you have the language server running in the background for your IDE, I think it will work with Vim. If you use Vim and you have the language server that is connected to your Vim, it will work. I think so. It's a TypeScript feature.
Okay, I won't use it, but
Any more questions? Thank you. Thank you very much.